have our Tantric channels in human design. So this is another thing you kind of hear about a little bit in passing, and we've kind of mentioned it in the past couple of months and different in the circuitry and the channels and whatnot. So I'm really excited to dive into these 3 channels and get into this Tantric energy.
The Tantra of it all. So the Tantra used to be the format channels, because back in the 7th-centered being, they didn't quite act as fully format channels. They were different. They were command channels. And the Tantra was down there, which means basically our sexuality in the 7th-centered being essentially was adrenalized business, not aware, and certainly not with a direction per se.
Thank you everyone who's watching, and let's dive into it. So the Tantric channels, these are the 3 channels that go from the sacral center to the identity center. Tantric channels are fertile life forces of sacral vitality, empowering the identity in a specific direction and the expression of the higher self through the G center. Tantric, not in the sexual sense of the word, but as in transmuting the raw sacral energy into a higher form, empowering the sense of self and direction. This is transformative, creative, life force energy toward identity and purpose.
Absolutely. And the driving of the purpose is what happens when we move in a direction that encompasses more communion, the 9-centered way, that has more aesthetic, money isn't everything, valuable abundance and beauty. That's what it's after. That is truly what it's after. And it starts with this whole process is foundationalized with money isn't everything. It just is. Because when you look at these channels, you treat them as their own separate Tantra, but then you also recognize it is part of the Penta, no matter how you want to slice it and dice it. So you also allow yourself to look at it as in all the stuff drains down from the 15 and the 6 and bubble through the 529 and bubbles up through the 14-2. That is a process inside these 3 channels when you take them together.
Wait.
Do you want to
re-explain that? Because the 15-5, the 214, and the 46-29, but what is that you were just saying with the up and down?
Because these 3 channels make up the bottom generative portion of the Penta, and the Penta is everywhere, right? The Penta is one of our prime organizing forces. It keeps us together a certain way. So you do look at all these channels independently as you're reading for one being, of course, but you can't help but to understand that in the Penta, the way the energy flows is up through 14-2.
Okay.
So you put a little break at 46 as if it's like a little stopping point, like it only can travel down the 29 up the 14, and the 15 can only travel down the rhythm and fix that pattern and boom up through the 14. They create a fountain.
So it's
Period.
okay.
Yes.
I've never known that. So
Yep.
It's doing this, what my little cursor is doing. I had no idea. That's super cool.
And then 2, what does 2 do? Whoosh, up and out the Sphinx. Yep.
That just blew my mind, Danny.
That's the trident. That's why 2 is the monopole. 2 is the seat of the driver, the steering wheel, the stick shift, the direction, the maps, all of it. It's just waiting for people to press the buttons. Press button 7, okay, into the future we go. Press button 1, okay, into the now we go. It's the DeLorean. Press button 13, back we go, back to the future.
Wow.
Wow, is right. Yeah, it's cool.
You just blew my mind. I was like, I don't even know what to say. That just blew my mind. That's super cool.
Yay. So Tantra, why is this Tantra? Because we're in love with loving ourselves in a direction, navigating those extremes if we have to, and we're there because we always have to. And then on the quick step, having the abundant workingness together that generates a direction, and that direction is what gate 2 is keynoted with. It's keynoted with the natural brilliance that just can't even be defined. That's one of its foundational keynotes. The next foundational keynote, I'm gonna crack open my book so I don't get it wrong. A genius, natural, unconscious, unknowable, and then intuition, sensitivity to disharmony of any type of atrophy that gets in the way of beauty. Don't you take this not seriously. We're in a hurry. Chop, chop. Don't you atrophy on me. Don't you bring disharmony into here. We're traveling down the road at 74 exactly, so we don't get a 10-mile over that speed ticket, 10 miles over the 65 mile speed. We're staying right there. Don't interrupt that. Don't bring disharmony into this thing. And for God's sakes, don't tell me you got to take a bathroom break. We're not stopping. That's what 2 wants to do if it can help it. Because on the other side is the burn, right? Or the thing, whatever it is. It's the thing that's just so gorgeous, and it wants that beauty. And it wants its individual sense of the pulse of it, and it wants its special story that made so much meaning out of the experience, and it wants its army to marshal through to make dang sure the thing takes place in the first place, happens into the future, that we can all understand, so we can explain along the way in case we need to make an adjustment away from disharmony and atrophy. So the Tantra here is beauty, and the Tantra in our bodies, as it relates to what we understand Tantra to be in one sense, is partly our sexuality. You can never untether sexuality from the sacral. I mean, what you can untether from it a little bit is all that juicy emotional aspect that makes it all juicy, and the yearning, and all the movies are made about it, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, the emotional solar plex adds emotional clarity and meaning to all of that. But this has plenty of meaning all on its own, because when humanity is in a direction towards more beauty and more communion, and it's in love with itself and its body, and it's embracing the extremes and setting patterns and saying yes, 14's abundance is just like 55's abundance. It comes through. It's not on a wave. It doesn't have to stop. 55's abundance will sooner or later turn back to gain more knowledge. 14 never needs stop. It can sustain. If that direction is good, why not take it for 50 years right in a row, non-stop, full bore? We're not in an emotional wave. We're in a direction towards beauty. So I say the Tantra here puts 2 bodies together with a higher spiritual sense. And so the Tantra isn't just penetration like when it was before, but it absolutely can include that. The Tantra is beauty, however defined. And we all know it when we see it, by the way. I never met a couple that was wicked happy together that couldn't look at each other and know exactly what the other was talking about, right? That beauty that they contained in that now for them. So that part of that Tantra is there. It's all of it. Yeah, it's mutative too, obviously.
We're going to wrap up our Tantric channels, the 515, the 14.2, and the 29.46. Ignite the spark of life, channeling the sacral's creative vitality to the identity's love and direction. Gate 5's steady rhythms, Gate 14's abundant creativity, and Gate 29's devoted commitment. These channels weave passion, purpose, and connection into our being, aligning with their flow. We tap into the sacred dance of energy, fueling transformation and self-discovery. Honor your Tantric channel's unique vitality. What spark will you unleash on your journey?
That's a good question. So this whole putting it all together, when I take the 3 channels of rhythm, the channel of the beat, the home of the driver, and I take the channel of discovery as our new Tantra, it's just an exalted place compared to where we were as a 7-centered being. And we've already gotten a sort of handle on it. Humanity has already sort of recognized, hey, the Tantra is more than just the old way type thing. So recognize that. It's still formatted by the format channels. It's not like they're not there. They're still adding the adrenalized assist in the mixing bowl of the sacral, right? Creating the vortex, a generated vortex of energy. This is settling out that vortex and settling out any of the ripples so that the rest of it moves through the rest of the body process as itself smoothly. This stuff is designed to bring a new smooth. There's a new sheriff in town. It's the identity Tantra rather than the sacral root Tantra. The first, the sacral root Tantra was really interested in sex, essentially, with some sexiness. Great, yay. And the identity Tantra has sex as a component of the greater beauty, which encompasses everything and the commitment to everything, because the pattern protects all. And the abundance of the work says, take it all, load it up, extreme it all, and we're going to have this experience in a direction So our Tantra is just so much prettier than it was before. In my opinion, as the receptive yin of two demands receptivity as a primal force and the root of action to be receptive. Tantra is receptive now rather than active and penetrating. Receive your Tantra with your partner, receive it in life, receive it when you're on your bicycle driving down the road or whatever. Receive the Tantra that's always around. It is a beauty that is, I don't find any ugly in it.
It's like that interweaving of the creative life force with love and direction.
Period. It's just so beautiful when you put it that way. It makes it all make sense.
Perfect. Well, that was really fun.
God, I'm drained. I said that halfway through, didn't I?
Yeah, you've been talking a lot. You just kept going, 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 and being a good energizer bunny, explaining all the format channels and the Tantra channels and all this good stuff. So me and our audience can learn so much. Thank you, Danny.
Well, thank you, Moni. If it weren't for you, this wouldn't even be on. Moni provides the actual direction. You are a gate too, aren't you?
I do have gate 2, yeah.
Crazy nut. And it's in a divine center. So boom. Yeah. Well, I bring a rhythm.
Yay,
You
rhythm.
and I both have 46.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 vessels of love guiding the show.
So the serendipity becomes us. And we don't even have to know. It'll show up. You and I have a Tantra in this show. An exalted thing that seeks beauty, Moni. This word, the living demonstration of that. Oh my God.
We did it. Look at us.
Yeah. So I feel really good.
Yeah.
I hope people got plenty out of that and have lots of questions. We keep this obviously around forever. We just documented the Tantra.
Yeah, I love that we like record it and we put it out there. We got a comment from Jonathan that was really nice. Thank you guys for providing this resource on YouTube. We need it. Well, you're welcome, and thank you for telling us, because it means a lot when we hear compliments and stuff.
Jonathan, thank you very much, bro. Love you to death, man. Ask more stuff. And thank you for being here, bro.
Absolutely. There's your Insta info for anyone who wants that. And then we also have your email. So DannyG@DannyGuru.com. Insta is Danny Guru HD is the title. So book a session, reach out, comment, ask questions, hit like and subscribe. Do us a favor, and we'll see you next week. So thank you, Danny. Thank you to everyone, and catch you next time.
Thank you, Moni. Much love, everyone. Have a good night.